This is Smart Poker Study episode 220. Avoid overwhelm in your online poker studies. In last week's episode number 219, I gave you my brand new No Time for Study plan. It's the one that I've been using because I'm strapped for study time. Speaking of study time, it is that time, y'all! Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing the show with your friends. You know, I think that word of mouth is probably the reason why we're growing as fast as we are. So all of you, please keep doing that voodoo that you do so well and tell your friends. And I hope that you're ready for those 5-minute coaching videos because they're going to start dropping on my YouTube channel next week. Make sure that you're subscribed to the Smart Poker Study channel on YouTube and ding that notifications bell so you don't miss out. And speaking of missing out, Andrew Bannister will never miss out on anything I do with Smart Poker Study because he is now a Patreon insider. That's right. Andrew Bannister went to patreon.com/smartpokerstudy. He chose the level of support that worked the best for him, and he got on the train. Thank you so much, Andrew. I really do appreciate it. For everybody else, once you join Patreon, you're going to get that current month's reward, as well as access to the archive of patron-only content. So for just a few dollars a month, you get to support the show and get some valuable content in return. So please visit patreon.com/smartpokerstudy to start your support. Alrighty, so I get tons of email from people that are just overwhelmed with all the poker study content out there. You know, they're sitting on their computer, all of a sudden in their inbox, it dings and they get a brand new article from somebody or a YouTube notification pops up and there's that. They want to study one specific thing, but all these shiny new things suddenly pop up and distract them, right? So today I'm going to help you with that. So here goes. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. For the next 7 days, complete your first planned week of study and play. If you've been planning and completing your studies, go ahead and continue it for one more week, of course. Download the No Time for Study plan that I gave everybody last week. This is going to help you avoid the overwhelm and focus your studies around just one topic. Choose that one topic you want to study, then select 2 pieces of content to learn from. Remember, it's critical that you step into action and purposefully practice what you learn. So pull one action step from each item you study and get to practicing. Now it's your turn to pull the trigger and do something positive for your poker game.
You better wake up. The world you live in is just a sugar-coated topping. There is another world beneath it, the real world. And if you want to survive it, you better learn to pull the trigger.
All right, so once again, for the show notes page for this week, I'm going to make available that No Time for Study plan. And I highly recommend, if you've never done a full week of focused study before, or if you just simply think you have no time to study, this is the plan you need. Literally, 10 minutes a day is all the plan requires. There's a few check boxes to check, of course, every time you study or you complete a day of play. Going about this is really going to keep you on track to improve your skills on c-betting, 3-betting, calling rivers, bluffing, whatever it might be. Whatever you choose to focus on for that week, you're going to improve that area. So go to the show notes page at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod220. Just fill out that box right there and you'll be able to download that No Time for Study plan. Okay, let's get to the pokers. Gambate! Alrighty then. So I know that me telling you just follow a plan, maybe it sounds too simple. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, how and why would this approach work? And maybe also you've seen me in my prior books give out really complicated, long drawn out study plans. Why not start with one of those instead? Well, the number one benefit of planning your studies is to avoid overwhelm. There's so much out there with new things constantly hitting our inboxes or our YouTube notifications. It is so easy with all this new stuff coming to get distracted from our main job of working on that one thing that we want to improve right now. For example, just this week from Carradors, you guys heard him on a couple of podcasts, Peter Clark. or podcast interviews that I did. Well, I received an email about his latest episode of Pio versus Population, and it was regarding for betting. And I also received a YouTube notification from Jonathan Little about equity realization. But on Monday of this week, I decided to study double barrel C-bets. So I purposefully deleted the email from Carroters. Sorry, Carroters, I know you're a friend of the show, but I had to delete that. And I also ignored that notification from Jonathan Little because neither of these jive with my goal of becoming a better double barreler. So here's my tip for avoiding overwhelm. Plan your studies and ignore the rest. Alrighty, so let's talk about the different types of content that you could study online. The first is free content. Now, this is what the majority of us learn from. Videos on YouTube, articles on websites, and podcasts, of course. Free content can be very good and highly respected, but often we treat free content like it's not that valuable. We consume it without much thought because it came at us with no expense at all. But on the opposite side is paid-for content. People put a much higher value on things that they pay for, so they're more likely to be followed up on, studied, and acted upon. That's one of the reasons why I'm putting out more paid-for information and different content in 2019, and I'm doing this alongside my usual amount of free content every week. As a producer of both free and paid-for content, I put the same effort into both. The goal with each is to deliver extreme value to the end user. But I will admit that my paid-for content, it goes a little bit deeper and gives additional strategies, actions, and insights that my free content does not. For example, yesterday I held the Poker's Bread and Butter webinar. This webinar taught you how to purposefully put yourself in the most profitable situation more frequently in order to increase your profits. I did one podcast episode on this exact same topic. It was episode 184. But in the webinar, I gave additional strategies for getting into more bread and butter spots. I also gave more actions that they can take on the felt, and I also gave some hand quizzes to get people on the webinar thinking more critically about the concepts that I was teaching. The idea is that the webinar is more valuable than the free podcast, which makes it more worth it for those who actually made the purchase. But whether it's free or paid for, there's a basic strategy you should follow to learn from any form of online content. It's a 3-step process, and I want to share it with you right now. Step 1 is to create a plan of study. Step 2, study one piece of content at a time, take notes, and create action steps. And step 3 is to jump into action and review hands afterwards. Let me dive into each one right now. Step 1 was create a plan of study. In How to Study Poker Volume 1, I gave an extremely detailed weekly study plan. You can use this. But if you're having a hard time focusing on the topic you want to learn, I would suggest using the plan that I gave out in last week's episode and once again in this episode. That plan was called the No Time for Study plan, and all you got to do is go to the show notes page for today to download it. Suffice it to say, whichever plan you choose to use, planning your studies on a day-to-day basis for the entire week is the best way to avoid overwhelm and improve your game with purpose. Now, step 2 was to study one piece of content at a time, take notes, and create action steps. Too many people, they just watch video after video, or they binge listen to podcasts without taking notes, nor thinking about how they can put into practice what they're learning. You need to study one item at a time. Take copious notes and decide on 1 or 2 things you can actively do to work on your game. And of course, these things can be off or on the felt actions. And step number 3 was to jump into action and review hands afterwards. So with this last step, you're going to purposefully practice the actions you created from the content you studied. This is how you will ingrain new skills into your skill set and make more money at the tables. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from, and of course, my 3 books, How to Study Poker Volume 1, Volume 2, and Pre-Flop Online Poker. They're all available at Audible. I love listening to audiobooks to help me learn and relearn some topics, right? So I've listened to a couple audiobooks too many times now. Just kind of not really on repeat, but I'll visit it 1 month and a few months later I'll come back to it again. It really helps to kind of refamiliarize myself with what I learned from that prior listening or the prior reading of the book. So if you want to start learning with audiobooks, visit audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy to get your free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial. And 2 shout-outs today. The first goes to Walter Chambers, who purchased my Smart HUD for Poker Tracker 4. He went to smartpokerstudy.com/smarthud, checked out the Smart HUD, the screenshots of it. It all looked good, hunky-dory. Maybe he saw me using it in some videos. So he made the purchase, and now he's using it to exploit his opponents just like I do. Good luck, Walter. And of course, Thomas Tatman. He's the Tatman, skibbity-bitty-ba-dom-ba-da-bomb. You guys remember that song? Well, Thomas purchased Mashing the Micros webinar from me. You can find a link to get it yourself in the show notes page for today. But suffice it to say, he is using this webinar to learn how to beat his opponents, how to maximize his profits, and how to save some money at the micro stakes. Because within this webinar, I give so much information, so much guidance on how to play the micro stakes profitably. So thank you very much, Thomas. Alrighty, back to class, poker people. So let me give you some examples of how to study various pieces of content online. The first is free content, and my favorite tournament training site is tournamentpokeredge.com. Now, a few years ago when I was big into MTTs, I would watch video after video on this site because the pros here, they really know their stuff and they often create 5, 6, or even like 10-part series. Now, these series are all around one topic or one type of tournament or something. They're super detailed and they're perfect for someone like me that really wants to dig in and have a full grasp, a full understanding of whatever the subject is that they're teaching, right? Well, they have a great search feature that allows you to type in and filter for specific video content or even content created by individual coaches. Like if you really like Andrew Brokos's style of coaching, you can go through just his videos, pick and choose the ones that make sense to you, but you're learning from Andrew the whole time, right? Or if you want to work on c-betting, you just search for c-bet and a ton of videos pop up by different creators with quick descriptions. You can select the ones that are the best fit for what you're trying to study, right? But maybe you're on the fence about getting a Tournament Poker Edge membership, so you want to watch some of their free videos to see how you like it. If you're going to study some stuff, you might as well do it with purpose, right? Well, if you go to the show notes page for today, you'll find a link there for the Tournament Poker Edge free videos page. Now, on that page, you'll find 20 different videos covering different topics. But let's take the time to study these with purpose before we decide to purchase a full membership to the site, right? So looking at this list right here, I have a really good idea for some purposeful study around MTTs. So there are 5 $109 tournament videos. 4 of these are part 1 videos, and the 5th is a part 5 video, a part 5 of 6. Well, let's make a plan to study those 4 videos that were part 1 of a series. So every 3 days, we're going to watch one of them, take notes, and then create some action steps to practice in-game over the next 3 days. Then 3 days later, we repeat this process with video number 2, then video 3, then video 4. So at 3 days each, this is 12 full days of studying, all based around $109 tournament play. And, of course, as we're studying, we're going to take some action steps and practice those in-game. So if you think about it, in these 4 videos, created by 4 different coaches, they discuss the early stages of tournament play, all around the same buy-in of tournament, right? They're going to discuss the ranges and the types of hands that they play. They're going to discuss the opponents at the early stages. And very importantly, they're going to discuss how to build stacks in these MTT tournaments. So these are all things that we really want to focus on and learn as an MTT player, right? So utilizing this free content from Tournament Poker Edge, we've now created a 2-week plan for purposeful play and study around becoming better at these mid-level buy-in and early stage tournaments, right? So incidentally, if you want to look into a Tournament Poker Edge membership, you can support the show by going through smartpokerstudy.com/tournamentpokeredge. At no additional cost to you, they'll kick back a little something to me when you sign up. And of course, thank you very much for the support. So that's learning from some free videos online, right? What about learning from some paid for content, specifically an online course? It's always worth it to have a plan of attack so you can get the most out of that course that you just purchased. And most courses are organized in a particular way by the course creator. Hopefully, they put it together in an order that allows your knowledge and skills to build as you go through the course. But courses don't always tell you how to use what you're learning. So here's my 3-part method for learning from courses. Part 1 is videos. You want to watch these one at a time. And watch them in the order that they're listed. I would hope that the video creator or the course creator put them in a specific order, right? You also need to take notes on the things you learn. And then, of course, once again, create action steps from the video. Now, you want to do all of this before you move on to the next video. Now, part 2 of this, learning from courses, is utilizing the supplemental materials. They don't always do, but sometimes they'll give you different kinds of materials. For example, ranges or push-fold charts or like stack-to-pot ratio charts, whatever it might be. If they give you something, take the time to learn to use it. At a minimum, you're going to figure out that this isn't right for you. You don't want to use these ranges. You don't like the math that they're using, and you think SPR push-fold should be different. That's totally fine. But at a minimum, you must use what they give you to figure out if it works for you or not. And finally, part 3 of learning from a course is questions. That's right. Just send the course creator, the coach, whoever it is, send them questions as you're watching videos. So if they say something in a video about SPR and you're not exactly sure what they were talking about, great. Whip out the email, send them a question. And if they're any good at what they do, and if they have any kind of, customer relations skills and savvy in that customer relations realm, then they will respond back to you with a good answer. Now, the last thing about courses is do not treat it like a race and don't pursue the destination. Getting through the course, but putting only 20% of it into your skill set, that truly is a waste of your time and your money. It's the journey that matters, and with so much content, it's okay if one course takes you an entire year to go through. If it's as good as you think it is, you spent the money on the course, right? Spending time on it, it's only going to help you to put the strategies or the skills that they teach you into your skill set. Alrighty, so this episode is not complete until you head to the show notes page at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod220. Go there for screenshots and links to everything I discussed today to find out ways in which you can support the podcast and also to download that No Time for Study plan. Thank you so much for listening today. Make sure you step into action with today's challenge if you want to get the most out of this episode. Please leave a review for the show on your favorite podcatching app. This is the best way, other than direct word of mouth, that you can help the show grow. Alrighty, poker people, in the next Strategy Friday episode, I'm going to answer 3 of your questions with some killer actions to take. Keep telling your friends about the show because your sharing and caring is what helps us grow. Until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.